Hi guys, it's Ian. Just going to go through dollar CAD and why I believe it's going to move to the upside. I liked the harmonic pattern from Nanopra. I thought that was great because that sort of lines up with my analysis as well. So I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to be sharing full screen, this one. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about the dollar because I love talking about the dollar index DXY up the top. Okay, so that is the 4-hour chart, but we'll actually bring it out a bit and we'll talk about this because I think we're going to make this head and shoulders. So impulsive move to the downside, pretty impulsive move higher, then move lower, loads of mixed inside bars, and then just trying to push through this. Now, this is where the not fault lies, but obviously trying to trade a break on there might get you into a trade that you don't particularly want because what has a tendency to happen is when we hit these previous resistance levels, people have them as profit targets or they initiate, especially institutional investors, they start initiating short dollar trades. Even if they think it's potentially going to go higher, they fade into moves. So what will happen is that you could potentially see a stronger move lower in the dollar before that reaction higher. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. But this third leg, we're always looking at inside legs, is normally made up of 3 legs. So 1, 2, and then 3. Prime long entry, I suppose, for the dollar index is about here. Which is 98.09. So it's, you know, you're looking at a Marabuzo level, you're looking at previous resistance levels. You've also got a little spike here. So buying into dollar dips, obviously we've got lots of figures out today. That could potentially just wipe that analysis out and take it to the upside. But the conservative play, as far as I'm concerned, for the dollar index is buying into dips at lower levels. So going on to dollar CAD, messy old charts. If you go out to the monthly chart, you know, you're just going to get sort of chopped away with the candle formations here. It's not an expanding wedge. Sort of these patterns are free waves. This one was a wedge formation, but then we came out and retest. And if you look here, really for the last 5 months, dollar CAD's gone sideways. If we put an RSI on there, a relative strength index, we wouldn't get anything out of it. So we've got to go to shorter time frames, and even the weekly chart. All right, we've got a bullish outside candle, and I am quite fanatical about these. Let's just zoom in a bit. The red lines, by the way, are previous support and resistance levels. So I look for confluence areas where we've had selling or buying. Look for those to line up with other analytical tools, if you like. So here we've got a bullish outside candle that was produced on the 28th of October. That candle I'm pretty fanatical about, as a few people will tell you. It's often seen at the top or the bottom of a trend. So here's a bearish outside candle. Here's a bullish outside candle, and you can see that they're often seen at the top or the bottom of the trends. You don't really want to have massive bearish outside candles and massive bullish outside candles, because what has a tendency to happen is they become over bought or oversold, and then you're actually better off pulling in, well, trying to trade the retracement as opposed to just going straight in after that candle formation. So this is what I wanted to talk about here. Now, just because it's not the bottom of the trend doesn't mean you can't start to look at counting candles, so, or waves, I should say. So here, I believe we've got wave. Let's just get the, where are you, beast? Here. Okay, so wave 1, wave 2, 3, 4, coming potentially lower in 5, and then up. This is a trend of lower highs from a wedge formation. Could potentially see a spike through. What I do like is the fact you've got a 261.8% extension level here at 144.77, and that lines up with this previous level which was support or resistance. We can also see here on the daily chart, there's not a lot going on. As we've moved up to that resistance level in the dollar, we have seen oil move to the upside. So oil's moved to the upside. When oil moves to the upside, CAD or dollar CAD will normally move lower because we get weakening dollars, strengthening Canadian dollars. You've got to remember, Canada is a large exporter of oil, so we get that converse correlation, if you like. So because the dollar has moved to that level and is slightly consolidating, we're seeing this consolidation. But also, when you think about it, you've got conflicting views with the dollar and with oil, and that's what's made dollar CAD move to the downside. So really, they're not inside days, but then they're pretty poor performers, if you like. I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 days where you've seen little net action. That was quite interesting yesterday when we talk about Demark, which I am quite fanatical about. We posted a Demark count on, I believe, the 4-hour chart yesterday, and that often indicates the end of a trend or a correction to the downside. It's not always the end of a major trend, and we've seen to move lower. So I'm just going to pull this over here. So this is Demark, dollar CAD. So there was that 13 count. Remember I said to you guys before, I never trade into 13s, I always try to trade with 13s. So basically a 13 count highlights that we should at least see a correction lower. So we're moving lower. If I go to this time frame, which is only the hourly time frame, there's another 13 count there, you see. And we've moved lower and we've now got a 10 count. So I wouldn't want to be selling into this sell-off because potentially I've only got 2 or 3 hours of further selling, or what I believe to be further selling, before buyers should return. So that's that part of the analysis. When we go on to this part of the analysis, and I'm not going to go into that, it's a bit too complicated. All I will say is I've got a support level there at 132.50. So if I go down to shorter time frames, I put my level on 132.50. Oh, I swear that alarm, I set an alarm there this morning. Okay, so this is wave 1, wave 2, choppy up there. And then if I put a fib retracement on, fourth wave corrections have a tendency to move lower towards 23.6 or 38.2% of the third wave. Okay, not from down here, from here. So 1, 2, this is a third wave. So it's a correction of the third wave, not the overall move. Normally, when you look at the third wave rally, if it's a straight line, you'll only get a correction to 23.6%. If it's choppy, this one you could say was pretty choppy, then you normally get a retracement to 23.6. Now, you can even break down the inside waves, and this is what I wanted to talk about, okay, because often in a corrective wave formation, the inside waves are made up of 5 and 3 waves again. So if we go to our tool here, 1, oh God, that was very poorly done. There you go, 5 waves, down to the marking tool again. I'll do 3 waves, and you can see what I'm trying to get at here already, I'm sure. 5 waves to the downside. I don't believe that it will make the exact fib 132.46. I think it's probably going to make this previous support just below the previous low, take out some stops potentially. Oh, so 132.50 support. And going back to Demark, the reason I like Demark is because if we get a 13 count, it highlights the end of a trend and the start of a new upward bias, blah, 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 blah. But what it also gives us, which a lot of technical indicators and all the rest of it don't give us, a lot of the time it's quite a wild guess on where you're going to be putting your stop. We look for the lowest candle on the 13 count to calculate our stop, okay? And the way that you calculate your stop, and it's great for risk management, is you take the length of that candle, and in this case you add it on to the base of that candle. So that's the candle, this is the base of the candle, we add the stop down here, obviously taking into consideration our spread. So I always say dollar CAD FX majors, I'm going to look at a 2-point spread, even if it's half a tick spread, because I want that sort of lean wave for spikes and stuff like that. Not going to say never trust a broker, but sometimes you get spiked out. So just as a prime example here, on this 13 count, the high trade, and I do it all manually, 132.82. The low trades 132.52. You're being very kind to me. So that's 30. 132.22. I've taken the spread off 132.20. So if I was to trade that 13, the stop would be down here at 132.20. Okay, so I'd have a 30 pip, 32 tick stop with the spread taken into consideration. Here, I don't know where the stop is yet because I haven't seen that 13 count. I believe what's probably going to happen is we'll probably get some negative news, barrage of news actually in an hour and 15 minutes out of the States, spike lower in the dollar, buyers return, we get half decent stop, maybe 20-30 ticks, and then it moves to the upside. That's my plan. What we're always going on about, or a lot of technical analysts and traders talk about, is you've got to have a plan. So I'm looking at dollar CAD, and that's the plan that I'm looking at today. Also using correlation. This is my cheat sheet. I do it and fill it out every day. By the end of the day, it looks pretty horrendous. Can't find an old one. I've binned them. But I'm also looking at correlation. So I'm looking at Euro CAD on here. I've got Sterling CAD on here. I've got CAD Swiss, Aussie CAD. What do I want to see in all of those different currency pairs? What I want to see whether or not Canadian dollar is going to weaken. Okay, so I'm buying dollars, selling Canadian dollars. Is Canadian dollar going to weaken in all these different currency pairs? Now I've got a 30 on the 30-minute chart, I've got a 6 count. On the 30-minute chart, Sterling CAD, I've got a 10 count. 1 hour, I've got a 10 count. CAD Swiss has already shown a Demark 13. Aussie CAD has already shown a Demark 13. So basically, all of those different currency pairs as well, using correlation, are highlighting that even though we could see a potential move lower in dollar CAD, Canadian dollar, in essence, should be weakening soon. Okay, I hope that all makes sense. If not, ask some questions. All right, be back again soon with some more. Many thanks.